Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Now, I just want to make a few comments here, very briefly, okay? For those of you who continue to listen to Alex Jones, I have to give him a little bit of credit for starting to talk about the actual bankers as being the international New World Order that he is constantly harping and triping about. But he's still trying to spin this as being simply a tool for political control at some point down the road where we're going to not have a nation state and we're going to have some sort of New World Order political structure put into place. And he claims to have been talking about this for years and years and years, which is bullshit, of course. He's talked about the Federal Reserve, and he's talked about the fact that the Federal Reserve has not been controlled by the U.S. government, that it is an independent agency, etc., etc. But he has never talked about the New World Order as being a fucking group of international fucking gangsters and the international interlocking treaties and banking system as being the fucking New World Order, which is exactly what it fucking is. So he's merely trying to jump on the bandwagon, as is his usual case, and pretend like he's been talking about this forever, which he has not been. And he's still trying to make it seem as though there's some sort of big thing coming down the road called the New World Order, which is going to use the international banking system as its means to catapult itself into political power. And my assertion is that there is no need to address any kind of political fucking solution. As long as you control the entire finance system through the international fucking banker system, you do not need it. Simple as that. We already have it. The New World Order is here. So shut the fuck up, Alex Jones, unless you get on the goddamn fucking program. I'm sick of you jumping on the bandwagon and then lying and saying you've been talking about this since before you were fucking born. Now, let's talk about LIBOR, the London Interbank Offering Rate. While on the surface of things it might seem as though this is a rather small scandal in the grand scheme of things of quadrillions of dollars in worthless paper derivatives that everybody is hanging on the hook for, which could bring down the entire world into a blithering mass of fucking depression, but instead realize that the LIBOR is the foundational interest rate for almost every fucking financial transaction in the entire world. And of course, what is one of the key things that is behind this is student loans, which are based on the LIBOR, and also your state, local, and municipal governments, pension plans, and all of the rest are all based on this same fixed fucking interest rate. Now, one has to ask, since this is now going to involve trillions of fucking dollars on the very plain fact, and this does not even go into the hidden shadow economy of the quadrillions of dollars of fucking derivatives and stupid fucking pieces of paper bullshit fucking crap that these motherfuckers sell to you, and the insurance on them that they win either fucking way when they sell you the piece of shit, then insure the piece of shit, and when the piece of shit fucking fails, they get paid anyway. No, this does not even address that. We're talking about right out in the fucking open, trillions of fucking dollars have been based on a fixed motherfucking rate. Fixed! Collusion! Fucking conspiracy amongst the fucking bankers. So, what can we expect to have come out of this scandal? Well, if we lived in a world of rationality where there was actual accountability by people in positions of power and authority, such as the fucking bankers, then we would expect that people would be brought to trial and that a massive financial penalty would be imposed upon these people that would go to the actual motherfucking victims and not as a fine that is put through some kind of magical chicanery which decides where that money goes. No. But we live in clown world. We live in a world of no accountability. And let me make another thing very plainly clear for all of you free marketeers out there who think that this is the answer to everything in the universe. That if we just let businesses decide what to do, this is what fucking happens, motherfucker. This is what happens. And then for the same folks who say, well, we have regulatory capture, so it's the government. No, it's not the government, you fucking idiot. If you had a regulatory agency that was actually doing its fucking job, instead of being controlled by a corporation or a massive gang of motherfucking gangster corporations, then you would have things be handled the way they should be handled. And that is that malfeasance would be uncovered and everything would be put back on a level playing field. But that is not what we have. So, you cannot have it both ways, you motherfucking stupid fucking idiots. Either it's the government or it's the corporations, okay? If you try to assert that the corporations are actually running the regulatory agencies, then who is at fault? It's the fucking corporations, motherfucker, because they're the ones running it. If you get their influence out of the fucking government, perhaps you can get effective regulations that prevent the kind of preying, predatory, vulture capitalism that we have now all around the fucking world. So get your facts fucking straight instead of talking out of both sides of your motherfucking mouth. So, since we live in clown world, in the bizarro land, where up is down, black is white, and everything right is suddenly wrong, and there is no actual solution because nobody cares to have any political will or desire to do anything beneficial to help people and families around the world, expect all of your pensions to be ruined, your 401ks to be crashed, your municipalities and cities to be bankrupted by the shall we say, fallout from the LIBOR scandal, while the big fucking bankster elites will continue to portray themselves as the saviors of the world and continue to collect bailouts after bailout after bailout and continue to be propped up by a system while they pay a relatively small fine that never finds its way to the victims. That's just a fact of life. And when your municipality, your locality, your city goes bankrupt, will you finally get up off your ass? Will you finally get out into the streets? Will you finally turn your eyes towards who the real fucking criminal, motherfucking underminers of everything that society fucking stands for? Will you finally do it then? Will you finally open your eyes to the fact that it is the motherfucking international bankers that have destroyed everything and continue to destroy it because they want to rip and gouge every motherfucking penny out of you and everything else until they're the last thing left standing. And they don't care who dies, what's crushed, who goes bankrupt, and what futures are absolutely fucking decimated. And then at the same time, they want to dictate to government that you need to go into austerity to pay your debts, which means cutting social programs, killing people who are poor, out of work, homeless, and can't afford to buy food to eat. They're the dictators. They're the ones running things. It is not the fucking government. It is a government that is run by them. Get them out of the government and you can have a government, perhaps, that is responsive to actual people and the actual supposed country that they are supposedly running. Thank you. Good day.